State of the Bay 2023 off season. I don't have any notes prepared for me. This is a bit of a rough draft, if you will, but some recent news and events have come out, and I'd like to make this video like I did last year, is just kind of seeing, where the Green Bay Packers stand currently before the draft, and then I do plan on making a draft class review, in April. Right now it's March, about a week before free agency. So, yeah, let's just see where the Green Bay Packers are at. So the Green Bay Packers finished the 2022 season with a record of 8-9. They had a chance to make it into the playoffs going into Week 18, playing against Detroit and Green Bay. They did end up losing that game, like 20-16. I don't even remember the final. Honestly, I've kind of forgotten that 2022 season was a thing. I haven't really made a whole lot of videos on that after like week 3. Yeah, I've kind of just forgotten the season as a whole. It started off 3-1 and then lost like 7 of 8 after that, and then went on a really good run at the end. I was at the Rams game. I think that was week 15, I think it was. I was at the Rams game. It was a fun game to be at, but just the whole season was definitely not your typical Green Bay Packers season. As I mentioned, they finished 8-9, did not make the playoffs. As of right now, I'm not sure where they stand in the draft. I think they're drafting at 18th as it stands right now. Gutekunst usually has shown that he will trade back, except for the one year they traded up to get Jordan Love. Yeah, I don't know. I apologize. My thoughts are kind of all over the place. There isn't really a whole lot of structure to this video. I don't know. Just as a Packers fan, just kind of lost. This whole Aaron Rodgers, like, will he, won't he? He went on his darkness retreat or whatever, sat in a dark room, no bigger than my bedroom, really, like 200 square feet, had a queen size bed and a yoga mat and a bathroom, I think was all that was in there. Yeah, I don't know. Just like I said, it's gonna be a rough video. My thoughts are all over the place. Okay, jumping into it. Recently, the Green Bay Packers have restructured the contracts of Aaron Jones, Preston Smith, and I think they're working. No, they also did it for Kenny Clark as well. And I think they're looking at restructuring David Bakhtiari if Aaron Rodgers comes back. His status is still up in the air. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers. Today is March 7th. I don't have my watch on me. I think today is March 7th. So yesterday, March 6th, Aaron Rodgers spoke to the New York Jets, which the Green Bay Packers would have had to give Aaron Rodgers permission to do so, which shows that Green Bay is either willing or is going to move on from Aaron Rodgers and potentially pursue a trade to the New York Jets, and then Jordan Love would then be the presumed starter for the 2023 season. I am not really sure how I feel about that. Now, Jordan Love did show flashes of potential this past season. The one quarter he played in Philadelphia looked pretty solid, and sitting behind a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers for 3 years does give you a pretty good quarterback to learn from. So I'd like to see what Jordan Love has. It would suck to see Aaron Rodgers leave, but at this point, for the past, I think, 3 seasons, Aaron Rodgers has kind of just, dangled it over the Packers front office like, ooh, I might leave, or oh, I might retire. And at this point, like, I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'm growing tired of it, and I think the fan base is pretty 50-50 on you know, wanting to have Aaron Rodgers back versus wanting to see what they have in Jordan Love. Because remember, they did draft or they traded up in the 2020 draft to get Jordan Love, and we've only seen him play in like 4 games so far. So they have a lot invested in Jordan Love, and to not see him play, especially going into his 4th year, the Packers, I think, have until the end of this upcoming season to pick up the 5th year option, which is given to teams for their first round selections. Um, yeah, so the Packers, they invested a lot in Jordan Love, and they're going to want to see what they have in Jordan Love to see if he is capable of building around for the next 5 to 10 years, or if they should trade Jordan Love for like a third or fourth rounder and try to keep Aaron Rodgers, or potentially draft a quarterback or sign one in free agency for this upcoming free agency period. Now, Rodgers did say that, the sooner the better the decision is for both parties, but it's been almost 2 months now, and he's been the Packers starter for 18, or he's been a Green Bay Packer for 18 years. He's been the starter for, oh, I don't know the math off the top of my head, but I think this past season was like his 15th season as a starter. So you've been doing it for so long. Why not? It's been 2 months now. I know retirement is it's a big decision, but you've had 2 months to figure it out. So, in my opinion, I think, and maybe with the recent news of him talking to the Jets, maybe he's already made his decision that he wants to move on. Maybe he wants to come back for one more year, run it back with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and all of his guys like Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, David Bakhtiari, Mason Crosby. They'll bring all those guys back. I just don't know anymore. I think a lot of what the Packers do is going to be based off of what Aaron Rodgers decides to do, and hopefully that news comes sooner rather than later. I I'm indifferent at this point. If Rodgers comes back, great. Maybe with uh, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and even Samori Toure and other wide receivers taking that, second year leap. Christian Watson had a pretty good second half of the season last year. Romeo Doubs showed flashes when he was on the field. And even Samori Toure had a couple good plays as well. So between those three and then whoever else they decide to either keep or bring in with, the jump in production that we'll hope to see from, those second year guys with either Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love. Maybe Rodgers decides to try one more year. If Rodgers stays for one more year, then Jordan Love, or at least his agent, will most likely ask for a trade so Jordan Love can go try to start somewhere else. Because he's been sitting on the bench for 3 years now. And, if you believe in yourself and if you've progressed like the Packers keep saying that he has, Gutekunst, or Brian Gutekunst, Packers GM, has said that Jordan Love, if need be, he'd be ready to be the starter. And I think the front office is kind of at the point where the rest of us fans are, where it's like, all right, Rodgers, make a decision. Are you going to play for us this year, or are we going to trade you somewhere else? So, yeah, that's kind of that. Another thing that comes to my mind right now is the fact that Gutekunst has said that Adrian Amos, Packers starting safety for the past 3 years, he is most likely going to be either released or let go into free agency. So the Packers will probably draft a safety or two. I'm trying to think of all the other news. I apologize. I should have done more research before jumping into this, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there after seeing the news of Rodgers speaking with the Jets and the Packers and Jets potentially working on a trade. And we, as Packer fans, went through this 15 years ago. I was only 7 years old, but I still remember, the former Hall of Fame quarterback who had only won one Super Bowl earlier on in his career and probably should have won more. Brett Favre. He went to the Jets for 1 year, played like 12 games, and then he signed with the NFC North divisional rival Minnesota Vikings for 2 years after playing with the Jets for a year. So history repeats itself, and I hope that Rodgers doesn't do that, if he decides he wants to go to the Jets, cool. We'll see what we have in Jordan Love, and I don't know, maybe become a wild card team next year. And I don't know. The defense should still be pretty good. Hopefully, Rashawn Gary can come back from his ACL tear. It happened, I think, week 8, so he should be ready by week 1, or at least very close to. So, comeback player of the year, potentially. The fact that they didn't get rid of Joe Barry uh, gives me a little bit of cause for concern, but if they believe in him, I mean, he finally allowed Jair Alexander to match up against the opponent's number one receiver for the last, like, 6 weeks of the season, and it worked. So maybe Joe Barry's learned from his mistakes from September to November of last season. Yeah, I don't really know how much more there is to say about the Packers offseason so far. Some free agents are kind of up in the air depending on what Rodgers wants to do. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. We'll have to see maybe in the next 48 to 72 hours. We'll know what Rodgers wants to do. And then, whatever his decision is will determine what direction the Packers will go moving forward. Whether they trade Aaron Rodgers to the Jets and get a bunch of draft capital back, maybe a good player or two, and, kind of, I don't want to say rebuild, but it would be kind of a soft rebuild. The defense will still be good, but they'll have to, allow Jordan Love to take over and learn and, go from there. Or if Rodgers decides he wants to stay, then you just kind of run it back and hope the receivers take that second year leap and, improve. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of stuck in the mud waiting on Rodgers at this point. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any other thoughts beside that. Um, if I have the time to make a video when Rodgers makes his decision, I will do so, and I promise I'll be a little bit more presentable and maybe have some notes in front of me, but as of right now, I don't. So I apologize for the rough video, but yeah, that's pretty much all the news for now, and I hope to make a video once Rodgers makes his decision. Peace.